While the media focuses on the president's latest social media outburst, a more critical story is being overlooked. Why are both political parties still avoiding tough questions about Epstein's network and its elite protection? Breaking news today.
Hello, and welcome to That News Show, where we discuss the latest facts, fakes, and hypocrisy as reported by the legacy media. Let's roll the tape.
Despite years of promises from both political parties, the truth about Epstein's network remains elusive. Why is it taboo to inquire about Epstein's connections to intelligence agencies or the untouchable global networks? MSNBC reports that President Trump is visibly frustrated. According to a former White House spokesperson regarding his recent social media post about Jeffrey Epstein, this highlights a critical issue. Why does the media focus on the president's frustration rather than the underlying story? The focus has shifted from potential cover-ups to the president's online demeanor. Consider this. The Department of Justice now states there is no quiet list and no conspiracy, only a mysterious gap in the prison surveillance footage. Americans deserve genuine answers, not just another act in the ongoing drama of partisan politics. Because legacy media outlets like MSNBC seem more interested in criticizing the current administration than questioning why the previous one under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris failed to provide answers, hold anyone accountable, or protect Americans from elite exploitation. So who really benefits from this constant diversion? Let's see what unfolds.
I feel like that is a disservice to his supporters, and it's not going to go away because they have a right to know and demand answers on this. But obviously from this post, you can tell that Trump is very frustrated. And if I had to make a prediction, I think that he is going to try to shift the news cycle this week by either saying something very controversial or doing something controversial because he does not want us to be talking about Jeffrey Epstein.
So, Denver, the president appears to be trying to redirect attention to every single boogeyman and conspiracy theorist that he has floated over the years. He also claims the Epstein files were written by the architects of the Russia election interference investigation. But Epstein was arrested in July 2019, died in custody 1 month later. To what extent can Trump distance himself from
This issue go beyond party lines. The dissatisfaction among grassroots conservatives goes deeper than the details of Epstein's death. The Democratic establishment from the Obama years through the Biden administration has similarly failed to provide transparency about Epstein's connections. The real story here extends beyond mere frustration or shifting focus. It centers on the stark lack of transparency from government agencies and the failure of both political parties to provide clear answers regarding the Jeffrey Epstein case. When high-profile figures in the administration, who had committed to uncovering Epstein's network, start parroting past administration claims that there's nothing more to uncover, it's understandable why supporters feel betrayed. They recognize that the same institutions that previously failed to deliver answers are now seeking their trust once more. The American people are not deceived by these diversion tactics. The frustration lies not only with the message, but also with those delivering it. The cycle of secrecy and selective outrage from mainstream media only exacerbates public distrust. Americans, particularly those who were promised accountability, are justified in their demands for answers after being told by the Department of Justice and FBI that, despite years of speculation, there is no client list, no evidence of a blackmail ring, and no signs of foul play. Only a suicide confirmed by enhanced video footage and multiple investigations. Instead of receiving straightforward answers, we are presented with partisan narratives and scapegoating, leaving the real issues about elite networks and government accountability unaddressed. It is time for both parties to abandon the secrecy of sealed files and technicalities and to start treating the public with the respect they deserve.
Trump is panicked by this reaction from his most loyal supporters.
I do think he's panicked. And right now, obviously, we see in his posts that he's standing by Attorney General Bondi. But I do think that his supporters are going to expect heads to roll if they're not getting the answers that they need.
When explosive campaign promises like those concerning the Epstein files are not fulfilled, supporters feel deeply betrayed. When the White House shields Bondi instead of enforcing accountability, it risks alienating the very supporters who fueled this movement. They expect a bold challenge to entrenched interests, whether these are in Washington, on Wall Street, or among the global elite. Also, this situation highlights a broader issue with a culture of secrecy in our institutions. The greater risk for Republicans is internal division. We are witnessing a classic underestimation of the intelligence and determination of everyday Americans by the political elite. As Democrats capitalize on this controversy to label the administration as hypocritical, they overlook their own transparency shortcomings. This isn't about partisanship, it's about holding the powerful to the same standards as everyone else. The American public deserves clarity on who is being protected and why. The grassroots demand tangible actions and real transparency, not just placation or vague promises. The stakes are high, as conservative influencers and movement leaders predict severe electoral repercussions in the upcoming midterms if these issues are not directly addressed. This issue extends beyond a single official or investigation. This sentiment intensified when Attorney General Pam Bondi, who had previously assured the public that a client list existed, later contradicted herself by aligning with the Department of Justice's claim that no such list exists. To maintain trust and prevent a damaging rift, the administration must embrace full accountability. The demand for answers and the voters expecting them aren't going anywhere. The uproar from the conservative grassroots is more than a fleeting disturbance. It's a direct reaction to perceived betrayals by those they elected. When government agencies withhold information, citing victim protection or national security without transparency, it only breeds more skepticism.
He said that he was going to release the list, and now his supporters are asking him to follow up and follow through.
Is this issue, Denver, important enough to the MAGA base to rip that coalition apart?
I think in some ways it can be, especially in specific districts that are heavily Republican. I think this is an incredible opportunity to identify the inconsistencies and the conspiratorial nature of the campaign. I think that's why you see Jamie coming out. And, I know Jamie, see other individuals asking for the list. This is the same thing that MAGA did, and they couldn't really, get through with it when they asked for all the materials and they find out that nothing is actually true that they think is true based on who they've actually chosen to be in charge. So I think if the Democrats, independents, or, those who still, the last of the moderate Republicans left, which you might have a couple left on here, the last of them left, they need to actually go after this and never let it go. And I think if the media keeps asking the questions of where is it, you're either lying before or you're lying now. There is no other way to actually stage it. You were lying then or you're lying now. So when were you lying?
The frustration among the MAGA base is not just about one list or one official. It's about a system that continually shields the powerful, regardless of who is in charge. MSNBC's coverage of the Epstein files controversy, particularly their focus on the administration's response and the MAGA base's reaction, follows a predictable pattern. While it's true that grassroots conservatives are demanding follow-through on campaign promises, MSNBC often overlooks the broader context. Both political parties, including the previous Democratic administration, have failed to deliver transparency on the Epstein case. The use of sources and expert opinions on MSNBC is selective. But NBC consistently presents the issue as a Republican problem, seldom examining the Democratic establishment's failures to address Epstein's network or release related files during their tenure. Until mainstream outlets like MSNBC are willing to ask uncomfortable questions of both parties and examine the role of global elites and intelligence agencies in perpetuating secrecy, their coverage will remain incomplete and frankly part of the problem. Instead of exploring the institutional reasons behind government secrecy or the bipartisan nature of elite protection, the coverage focuses on the spectacle of MAGA revolt, missing an opportunity to inform viewers about the deeper structural issues at play. The network's panels, filled with analysts who suggest MAGA supporters are being misled, rarely feature voices from the conservative grassroots who can articulate their legitimate distrust of not just this administration, but of the entire political class. Instead, MSNBC repeatedly echoes talking points from Democratic strategists, using the controversy to attack the administration while ignoring similar transparency issues under Biden and Harris. Visually, MSNBC excels in storytelling techniques that dramatize internal Republican strife, using split screens of angry town halls, graphics of social media backlash, and curated clips of officials like Bondi under fire. The network emphasizes internal Republican discord, suggesting that the unreleased list could fracture the MAGA coalition, particularly in solidly Republican districts. This approach fails to inform viewers about key findings. The DOJ concluded there is no client list, no evidence of a blackmail ring, and that the video gap resulted from a technical reset. The American people deserve clarity on why, despite years of promises from both sides, the truth remains elusive. It relies on speculative language, portraying the administration's actions as either a cover-up or indicative of a deeper conspiracy, without solid evidence beyond official DOJ statements and a missing minute of surveillance footage. They spotlight figures like Jamie Raskin or former Democratic officials who emphasize alleged Republican hypocrisy, but seldom engage with independent investigators or legal experts who could offer a more nuanced perspective on why certain files remain sealed or why full disclosure is legally complex.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy.
Is this an odd response, or is it more in line with what he says when he can't think of an answer on the spot? Oh, I'm sorry.
I think
Sarah,
the
to you, sorry.
dismissive nature of this is kind of crazy because obviously this is an issue that his supporters do care about. And so I think that him being so dismissive and trying to gaslight us that we need to move on from Jeffrey Epstein, Denver made this point.
When controversies like the Epstein files arise and are poorly managed, it creates an unpredictable atmosphere that complicates long-term planning. The dismissive attitude toward questions about the Epstein case, particularly when transparency is demanded, is not only odd but also shows a disconnect from the concerns of everyday Americans. This issue goes beyond political distraction. It's about trust in our institutions and their commitment to holding the powerful accountable. Despite earlier promises of full transparency, including distributing binders to the Department of Justice, and the FBI's announcement of no client list and no evidence of a wider blackmail operation has led to significant frustration. This frustration is not baseless, but stems from years of unfulfilled assurances that justice would prevail, only to be met with secrecy and dismissive technicalities at critical moments. Political instability and a lack of government transparency can ripple through the financial sector, undermining confidence not only in political leadership but also in the regulatory environment. This gap has tangible consequences, not only eroding public trust but also threatening the stability of the movement itself. The American people deserve straightforward answers, not evasions. If people believe that elite networks can avoid scrutiny, they may also question the fairness of economic policies and the integrity of financial markets, leading to reduced consumer spending and slowing economic growth. This uncertainty can lead to market volatility, deter investment, and create a pervasive sense of uncertainty that impacts everything from small business planning to household budgeting. When the credibility of the government is in question, it influences basic decisions, such as making major purchases or investing in new businesses. Consider the impact on families already dealing with inflation and rising costs. When officials ignore legitimate questions, it signals that the priorities of the political class are out of sync with those of the people they represent. Industries such as banking, real estate, and technology, which are especially sensitive to shifts in public trust and government transparency, suffer when confidence wanes, reducing their willingness to take risks and invest in growth. And there you have it. Their goal is to keep you distracted by outrage rather than focusing on the real issues. Why have both political parties consistently avoided transparency regarding Epstein's network? Legacy media obsesses over every word from President Trump, eager to connect him to scandals they choose not to investigate. Americans deserve answers, not just narratives. Why do the same elites who lecture us about democracy conceal the truth? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your comments below. This has been That News Show. That's all I have for now.